Citizens, how's your spirit? Ignore the green for a minute. We're gonna cook together, I think. Anyway, I'm listening to this song titled BAN. And it's basically what you think it is. And thinking back to a couple things. One, I don't change my stance on it. I do not believe that disrespecting anyone in their face is a smart idea, especially using the term BAN. Even on camera, I don't think that it is the best idea, even a good idea. Everyone's entitled to do what they want and entitled to their own opinion. My point in this being, while I don't disrespect y'all to your faces in public, behind closed doors, or if there's a situation where you're behaving as such, yeah, I'm gonna call you such to your face. I may stand in defiance of what others believe it should be or whatever, and I'm not sure I care too much about that part. I'm the one who fought. And that's the point of this thing. I was just sitting here, determining for myself how I became JP Strong, so to speak. It was and it wasn't the movies. The parts where Julia Roberts, Jennifer Lopez, and Angela Bassett whoop ass was inspiring. The part where they cowered in fear at some point wasn't. It was the space that I was not allowing myself to go, you know? So over time, I didn't. And that's why, while you could call me a victim's right advocate, I guess that's why people find it hard to believe that I am a victim of human trafficking, sex trafficking, and some other things. We're going to go to the car and get ourselves together so we can get started. First things first, because y'all want to know your girl is clean. Let's get us some water bottles out the back of this thing. All right. Thank you to whomever dropped off the case of water. Dude, if you leave a couple of bottles of water outside in the sun in Tucson, it gets to be shower hot. So there's the water bottles, right? We got that one and this one. And I mainly use the water for cleaning, whether it be me, dishes, and other things, and stuff like that. And the reason is, you guys, hypernatremia is a real thing. It is the opposite of being dehydrated. So you are consuming large amounts of water. It's something that I've noticed a lot of people here in Tucson doing. We'll drink a crap ton of water because people tell you to stay hydrated. And water is part of hydration. Let's just say it's the H. Okay? So the thing is, if you drink a bunch of water and you're barely eating, or even if you are eating, you're not eating healthy foods out here. Most Americans are malnourished because they don't eat a healthy diet. They eat a steady diet of unnatural, unhealthy calories. Okay? So, not getting on that bullhorn in too much, right? The point of this being, though, with hypernatremia, you are washing the nutrients out of your body. So if you're drinking a whole bunch of water, and you're not supplementing with, making sure that you have fruits and veggies and things like that, fiber that's going to hold the water in, then you're more than likely holding the nutrients. Then you're more than likely pushing all of that out. So you're doing a disservice to yourself. You will end up probably more than likely bloated and still go through similar symptoms of heat stroke, heat exhaustion, those things. Because it's not just about being hydrated. You got to be healthy enough to be outside. And if you were a follow, look at the guess. Stella's a little bit messy today, this morning. But remember now, I just got up and I'm getting stuff together. But I already managed to marinate my pork for the morning, because what I did was take, this is my cooler, refrigerator, right? So there's some kimchi right here. I took this kimchi here and I just put it on some pork. It's in the other bag there. That's my proteins and whatnot. And it's in a bag, right? So I'm trying to keep everything compartmentalized and separated. These are all my veggies towards the back there. But everything that could cross-contaminate is wrapped up and sealed as tight as it can be, right? So I still managed to use my culinary degree, is what I'm saying. So I put these bottles of water under my arm. And, you know, this whole thing is about me telling y'all about me, so to speak, moving as a citizen out here in Arizona. So I always intended to use my degree as part of my business model, right? If you remember from when I was in a space, I was making food every day and posting it online. It's absolutely funny because I was doing that anyway. And someone hit me up behind the scenes talking about, I need a plate maker. And I responded with, I'm a chef. I don't make plates, I make art out here. And even today, I continue to make art in that way and share it with y'all. Right? So we need the pot. We need this in here. See? There's the pork right there, marinating in the plastic container. Guys, I don't know how it came about, but I found sopressata and pepperoni in stick form for like $2 when it's normally $7. So sometimes it's about timing and knowing what to get and what you're looking for, because that's protein that I can use in a number of ways and over a long time. So say, for instance, I didn't have any fat, which I do today, and I might not need it because that pork is rather fatty. But anyway, say I didn't have any other fat, I could take the pepperoni, right, and the sopressata and slowly cook it down, and it would release some of the fat that's still inside of it. Also, it's a cured meat product, so it didn't really have to be refrigerated. It came out of a cooler section, so I went ahead and put it in the refrigerator. All right, I'm gonna pause this while I put y'all down, so I need to find something. Okay. Oh, shoot, I might have it. I got it, I think. Okay, so here's our water, right? I'm trying to figure out how to make sure that you all can kind of see what's going on there and see me, more importantly, that I can see the right things, okay? So we've got our water for clarity. And then dish soap. It's a requirement, ladies and gents. I don't want to hear it, okay? Utensils. Okay, table has been washed down once, but we'll take care of it again if necessary. And yeah, I got a bag of stuffies over here. Okay, so in there is olive oil, hot sauce. I realized that I might end up being that chick who has hot sauce in her bag. I understand it now, child. Ooh. It does help, right? So anyway, and then here, I'll show you this way. Here is the kimchi pork. So what I did was just pour probably about a quarter cup of kimchi on top of probably about a quarter pound to a half pound of pork, right? Okay, and it's been marinating for 30 minutes. You can let it go longer, but since this is a fermented product, kimchi, it's going to begin to break down or denature, pardon me, denature the proteins inside of the pork, right? So it's going to be a more tender thing when you cook it. Now this is a fair bit, and my pot is only this big, right? So more than likely we're gonna have to cook this in batches. Now I made coffee in the pot the other day, and I didn't sorry, childhood song came to my mind, and I did not wash the pot out yesterday morning after making coffee because I was tired. I mean, I wasn't tired. I just didn't want to. I had something else that I wanted to get done, and then I wanted to get out and on my way, or underway, as early as possible yesterday, right? So I'm just washing the pot out, and I'm realizing that this really isn't a bad angle. Although if this is going to be on camera, this might end up in my face. Let's put that over there. Okay, we'll just do it that way. This is kind of actually a better setup for me because it's easily recognizable where things are in relationship to me from a camera angle. Very oftentimes you'll see, like, if I'm trying to find something, I'm pointing over there when it's really right here, and this camera angle makes that easier to do. Just a little side thingy, bar, whatever, So anyway, cleaning out the pot, and we're going to wrench it out. So I want you to reach around and wrench around and wrench it out. If you're a child of the South, you know what I'm talking about. I think the funniest thing for me was not how AAVE became so much such a thing, right? When people started texting or typing in AAVE, the first time that one of my cousins sent me, "What you talking about?" And I was like, "Bro, that is how we say that, huh?" It tickled my spirit. Someone who, I had the code switch. It's just not as much as one would think. Being around the United States military, mostly because I was a stay-at-home mom, and as my sister said, my world was a bit more of a controlled bubble than others. Forgive me while I grab my coffee. All right. I'm gonna wash my hands. A little soap, a little water. And then we're going to get this party started. We're going to cook off this pork. I got a little tray here that I put the batches on. And to be honest, I don't even know if I'm really going to be trying to look for a really good sear. But if you were cooking this inside, you would want to get a really good sear on the pork. That browning process is necessary. That browning process is necessary for flavor. It adds the darker character and undertones to what it is that you're doing, your dish. Because this kimchi pork, in essence, ain't nothing but cabbage and veggies and meat, right? So it can be taken from the cooked stage, which is why I'm going ahead and cooking it off, and done using a multitude of ways. Just that one thing, right? It can be burritos, tacos. It can go into a soup. It can go on a salad. It can go, into whatever you need it to, So that's one of the things that we need to consider, or that chefs should be trained to consider. As I remember when I was in culinary school, it wasn't really a known. It was kind of taught, but you had to be paying attention, and you had to be in the bachelor's program. Olive oil. But you want to make sure that you can use your item, one item, every item, in up to 2 to 3 dishes. Okay? Doesn't matter what it is. And I'm not talking about your spices. That's something different. Still, though, you want to be able to use your spices in as many things as possible. Otherwise, you're cutting out your bottom line. Okay? You're making it much more expensive than it has to be. Prime example. The place that I was at last, they would buy Uncle Ben's meals, which are probably $2 to $3 a pop, if not more. I think two for every person in that place, and they had about 50 to 70 people in that place. That's where the money went. A lack of understanding of how to feed people. That's it. Morale comes around your belly, okay? And if you're getting not only poor quality food, and you're being told it's being rationed to you, then the likelihood of having high morale is gone out the window, right? So the easiest thing to do is to retrain your culinary staff to understand how to bring it in. And this place was getting resources for free, and they needed to supplement with other things. Now, all they needed really to do was to supplement with rice itself and have the hospitality person cook it. But I'm going back to this. So here's our olive oil. It's going in our pot right here. Just enough to coat the bottom of the pan in this case. Okay. And then we're gonna turn this up. And I was going to chop up some veg and some other things and put it in here. I decided against it, mostly because it's gonna start to get warm out here rather quickly. It's supposed to be close to a record high today. And so I don't want to be doing anything over a flame for too long, for one. And two, as you can hear, wind control is difficult, which makes flame control difficult. And one thing a good chef will tell you is you really need to be able to control your fire. Okay? If you can't do that, you probably shouldn't even be hired. Okay? So now, here I am with the pork. I'm gonna pick y'all up. Put you up here. Yeah, I'm gonna turn you around so y'all know me. Here's the pork. And we're gonna go probably about half. Damn. Contrary to popular belief, all of us don't like having this stuff right here happen. Okay? I'm one of those who don't. So I'm gonna take it off the flame, you guys, and all I did is move it a bit. So, if you can see, right? That's all I did. I moved it off to the side so that I could control what's happening. Shout out to Miss Jackson. So, being in control of this situation. There. Right. So it turned out to be closer to a third of the pork, and that's also because I did take it out the heat. But you guys, in this case, I needed to take it off the heat. Understand? Because you have to be in control of what's going on in this situation. And since I can't actually control how much oxygen this thing gets, although I can put something around it, I can't control the weather or the wind. I need to be in control of movement at a minimum. Okay? So, you can hear it though. It's sizzling. It's also trying to simmer. You gotta be careful. Part of that though is because of the moisture from the kimchi. And had I been, in a different situation, I would have drained it because there's a fair bit of liquid in there. Now I probably would have drained and saved that liquid and then used it to make a sauce later because it's not bad liquid, so to speak, right? Just something to keep in mind. Alright. Also, if you're not doing this outside, you can cook this to just the right temperature, right? And then finish it off later, right? Cook it cook it to 135 degrees. This thingy is hot. Okay. Only one of the handles. Let me turn it around. So I'm using my dominant side. And come on. See what I mean by can't control the flame, gotta control something else? Or the weather? Okay, there we go. Cook it to just about done. Okay? And then cool it off. In that case, you're kind of going to want to cool it off extra quick. and then store it, and then whenever you're ready to, you can cook it through and then make use of it, right? This is how we extend the life of some things that may have otherwise gone bad in the fridge, right? So if you get a product in, you're really only supposed to have 7 days to use that product. The way that you can extend the life of that product is on the 6th day, cook that bad boy off. Make sure you made some type of marinade for it as well, just because, really, as long as you cook it off, you're fine. But you go ahead and cook it off, that gives you a new lifespan on that thing. You understand? Comes down to understanding sometimes, y'all, that's all. Okay? And like I said, in this situation, also, I am just like, doing normal people cooking, right? So I'm just fiddling with it and all kinds of stuff. If I were in the restaurant, I would not be doing this much. If I were at home, I wouldn't be doing it this way. I have a much larger skillet, and there'd be some more, it'd be a bit different. But this was just cause, like, I need to eat, and I prefer healthy food, and this was all given to me, and I'm thankful to everyone who gave me these things, especially the young lady who gave me the vehicle. She gave me the burner also, which has given me the opportunity to take some control back of my life, and my movement. I don't have to worry about how I'm going to eat, which is a huge part of being homeless. You have to search day to day, sort of, for where you're going to eat, where you're going to sleep, where you can put your things safely, where you can do the basic hygiene things. And just having that vehicle has changed the game that much. The women over at the place, who assisted in this, they really thought that I was going to sew and, let's just say, come back in need, right? Because they're about the only place in town you can get a shelter every day but Sunday. Well, a shower every day but Sunday. And I was like, you got me messed up. I know enough people that I can get a shower if I need. And when they started acting funny and shady towards me, I was like, you got me messed up. I will take 4 bottles of water and stick them outside of that thing right there, and then I will wash up. And when I didn't have that, I would still do the same thing. I would just do it under covering. Like, thinking that you can beat down someone into behaving the way you want them to, sobriety or whatever it may be, you got me messed up, buddy. You got me messed up. God gave us cannabis. Who are you to tell me I should be on drugs and in a mental institution instead of smoking weed? To that I say, bitch, please. Now, if you don't like my AAVE, then you need to go and speak to some of the people who are sitting in office today. Because they made me this way. I'm lying. They ain't had nothing to do with me. Right? If you think about it, at one point, I was a constituent of the federal government. I lived on base. The feds run that place. They could have asked me at any time to my face what it was like, what the transition needed to be. But no. Also, y'all, this is why chef's jackets, I'm going to be lazy and put all this in here. This is why chef's jackets are long sleeves, right? So all this popping and SHIT. Right. Y'all want to see? All them little brown bits is going to come up in a bit, and then I will add some water to it and get the rest of it. And I'm going to shut up on it. I'm going to be quiet about it. Because these days, I really don't want to encourage y'all to do anything that's not super clean. Because you never know what they're putting in the food and anything else these days. That's also why I cook for myself. I can at least go to the grocery store, pick it out for myself, and cook it for myself. I know what I put in it. I know what it is, or. Now, if somebody happens to get into my shit, that's different. But being homeless, you sometimes have to trust anybody to cook for you, honey. And woo, it comes through in the food. You can tell when the folks over at Guadalupe's are salty about something because the soup be extra salty that day. I'm just like, nah, I got my own. I'll make my own soup. These are places you're supposed to be able to go to supplement yourself if you are living in a home, right? You're supposed to be able to go and supplement your income if necessary to get you through a rough patch without you having to go to the federal government. That's why those places were meant to exist. Now, the government has put all the weight on their backs, and that's an unfair trade-off, which is why, they're behaving the way that they are. I was like, JP, you ain't seasoned it. They don't need it. Maybe a tiny bit of salt, but I definitely really need it. I'm super proud of me for that. Anyway. I'm going to try to treat this a little bit more like paella and just let it sit and see if I can get it to form a crust that way at least. Since it's not going, since it is doing the thing to a degree. Okay. But so anyway, gotta stop using that word because apparently I'm using it a lot. I hear myself saying it. Being aware and being in control. Having faith enough in yourself to try. To do. Right? We don't try, we do or do not. So just do it. Failure is a part of the process. And by that means, how would you know success if you didn't fail? And by the metrics, when we're talking about live streaming, how successful coming out of the gate. When you talk about social media content creating, successful. Why? Because I studied, I researched. When it came to my Twitter feed, I listened to Twitter Smart and I took their advice and counsel because they were insiders at Twitter. When it came to YouTube, I understood it by algorithm metrics having listened to Twitter Smart. So then all I had to do was, infuse the two, so to speak. And so I got to here. And basically that's what Twitch is. The interaction, right? So to speak. But on YouTube, it's less interactive. Pretty much unless you're on my channel, maybe one or two others. Because people don't know how to make that crossover. How to engage the audience and do this at the same time. It's something that culinarians, at least at the school that I went to, had to know. I went to an art school. An arts and science school, so to speak. Because my bachelor's is a bachelor's in arts and applied sciences. Because cooking is a science. There's a name for the browning that happens when you're doing this. There's a name for everything. There's a term for everything. Mise en place. These are all parts of the science, right? Mise en place is to have everything in its place and everything you need, right? Well, a part of learning about mise en place is knowing that you can only take out what you're going to be able to make use of in 30 minutes. The average person doesn't know that. Now, we've been recording here for almost 30 minutes. I haven't had this all out for all of that time, though, have I? I went and got it when I began to do what we needed it for. And I'm basically using this cooler for a stand, although I was originally going to use something in it. And I have something over here that I may use instead. But understanding that, knowing that, and keeping that in your mental Rolodex while running a full kitchen brigade, which can be anywhere from, it's really depending on the size of your kitchen, because 2 people, if you do it right, can be your brigade. But at the end of the day, we're talking about at least 6 or 7 other people whom you have to communicate with, think for, think ahead of, and be prepared for any failures on their end so things don't go short on the other side of things and your guests aren't disappointed. You see? That's why it's a culinary degree in management. And that is why I went to culinary school. I already knew how to cook, baby. Okay. I also already knew how to make pretty food. Ask my family. I also knew how to manage by way of volunteer management. Now, if you know anything about the culinary industry, you know it flies in the absolute face of volunteer management. Although they have volunteer apprenticeships by way of stages where you go to France in the Basque region and you can live there for a year, but you're going to be homeless. Unless you got your own money, homie, and the way they work you, that might not even work for you. So then you get me. Experienced volunteer, manager, leader, and whatnot, having already led like 100 women or so at the height of the GWAT war, coming into the culinary system. Now the black mother in me, because I'm going to be honest about that, fused the two. You dig? It was knowing who to treat which way when, based on understanding that I gathered from being a young black woman in this country and dealing with damn near every race, creed, ethnicity known globally to a degree, right? We're not talking about an absolute science, because as I understand it, there are no absolutes in science as we know it today. Most of science is theory, except the things that we've proven. Culinary has proven a lot of scientific theory. It's culinary math, so to speak. Making something out of nothing. That's the culinarian's job. No matter what. An army moves on its belly. We're taught in culinary school that if you do not feed an institutionalized population in a healthy way, something that's going to keep them going and not focusing on the food, you are likely to get a riot. They have to have some type of pleasure other than contraband. And oh, by the way, that's kind of part of how we know things we ain't supposed to know. Not only is it the education, but many culinarians have been through institutions, whatever type, right? And I'm not talking about PWI. Although I guess Johnson and Wells and the CIA would be the PWI of the culinary community. Anyway, the point of this being, we have to take control of our destiny. We can't leave it up to anybody else. Right? And it wasn't after my death experience that I realized that. I was always taking control of my destiny. by asking the Most High God if this was what he meant for me. It's 2009. And children's father and I were going through it. And I tried. You have to understand. The first time I told him I wanted to go was probably the spring or summer of '96. We were married until last year. That's a long time to never change or any of those things, right? What? I wanted to go to culinary school then. He basically forbade it with his mother's assistance. She told me I'd be wasting my money. Ironically, it was my inheritance. This was not a woman who was put on this planet for me. Anyway, fast forward to 2009. I'm sitting in the car. I'm like, God, I'm feeling it. I need to get. I know you're not punishing me with this man. And I understand. I had earned some karma early in my younger years. But at this point, he was definitely exhibiting signs of, once again, becoming a physical danger to me. He took breaks in the physical abuse, especially as the boys became older and aware. He would do it elsewhere, and it became more rare, infrequent. Anyway, long story short, I don't know if I saw a sign for the Art Institute or I got a letter in the mail, but washing dish. I'm gonna put the fork in here, so I gotta make sure it's clean, right? Anyway, I don't know if I saw a sign or if I had gotten a flyer in the mail, but it was for the Art Institute. And I was like, ooh, Father, I swear this is a sign. If this is a sign, I need you to let me know something. And this was before, right? This is just about the time that our phones were starting to snitch on us and whatnot. So I knew it existed. So don't think that I fell for the okie doke or anything. Culinary school was always in my vision, in my sights. Pardon me. So the long story short of it, I start to discuss it with him, and he seems okay with it, right? Because I'll be coming back home. It's much closer, 45 minutes away, where school originally, the first time, would have been all the way in New York City, and it would have been in upstate New York. And he told me the first time that if I went, he would take our son. So, it was like, back up off that. And now the boys had all gotten into school, and I guess he felt, it might have been, I don't know, you'd have to ask him. So anyway, it became okay. And then I started going to culinary. And that's when karma started kicking his ass. And I know that. But as old Blondie Batwings would say, God don't like ugly. And this man had treated me so ugly in our marriage that it was time. So God just started whooping his behind. And pretty much has ever since. I know by comparison, because you all see he was in a house, he did have a girlfriend. Yeah, so did I. And your point being, I mean about the caliber and character of the human being Yeah. Okay. All cooked up, ready to be separated and stored. Some of it's going to go with me today. And I'm going to be honest, it does not taste like kimchi. So real talk, it's a great substitute if you don't have everything you need. Buy the items that are going to make your food flavorful. Do it that way. You don't have to be you don't have to put each individual seasoning on there as long as it's seasoned. And kimchi has so much flavor in it that it just seasons it for you. And you're good to go, right? Now, in consideration of that, before I get, yep, I'm gonna save myself some time and some space so I can stop having to use this bag over here. And I'm gonna cook off this mix. I bought these. These mini ones are 2 for $5 at most grocery stores. So if you're someone who's single or, doesn't eat a lot, this is great, right? Because one of these can be used twice, really. But in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and get with it. And even the sauce, you guys, I know that they have them now, like, separated, and they say, they've got bags that say good hot, good cold. It's a salad mix, okay? But simultaneously, everything in here, even the lettuce, can be sauteed off, right? Can be cooked, okay? The pepitos, the salad dressing that's in here. You would just turn the temperature down and be careful with it. But you can make this hot or cold, all of them. Don't let the way that something is packaged limit your imagination. Take a chance. See what you get. You might just enjoy it. As my fellow Memphian Anthony Q says, try loving me. And veggies. Alright, I am adding salt and pepper to this because this is the one step where you can do this, and you should do this, even with your salad. A little salt and pepper goes a long, it's love, and it goes a long, long way. A little bit of love is all it takes. A little bit of love is a long, long way. A little bit of da-da-da-da-da. Alright, want to see? Look at that. We're going to cook right down, and what's it going to do? Fit right on top of there? I know, right? I know, bruh. Oh. And actually, I am going to leave these out. Because still, again, at this point, even with that on there, this can go into so many things. All the same things that I just said that pork could go into, these veggies can go into. And still be entirely different dishes. There's no seasoning on here that can't go into another dish. And guys, really, you just want to cook your greens until they're wilted. Don't be out here doing no ridiculous. In this case. Now, this thing is hot like fire. Okay? But anyway, we got that done for today. So I won't have to cook again, possibly until tomorrow. If that, and we'll see. And that's one of the other things, is knowing how to get things done. Can you see? Even down to that, right? You don't want to waste anything if you don't have to. Sometimes, though, you gotta go back and make sure you didn't leave anything in the pot. Oh, and for the record, yes, I will do this. Now, in this case, I may or may not keep the juices, but it's a possibility. The reason that I might not keep the juices is because, depending on how hot this liquid gets, I'm in danger of something. So notice every time that I know I am not going to be in control of the flame, that I turn the thing off. Okay? It's dangerous. Huh? Hold on. Like right now. Be right back. Okay. I'm back. Had to go get some ice. Because in this case, what I want to do, and the water bottles are empty. But anyway, I wanted to get some ice so that we can expedite the process a bit and create some steam. Remember, when you make steam, though, to be careful because you can get a steam burn. So what I want is to really get some there you go. You see, you hear it, that bubbling going? Because that's going to help us, what they call, deglaze this pan. And I just find that getting the process started with a little bit of ice in a hot pan, overheat does that. Right, now the thing is this thing here is done all the way up the sides, and because I don't have a kitchen mitt, I was going to say no gloves, I have to do something different. So I'm holding it with a paper towel, but what I'm doing is turning the pot on its side and then putting it over the flame and reducing the heat a bit so that I can scrape the sides of it. And this really just makes cleaning easier, because I don't have like a scrubby thing, and even if I did, I really just don't care for scrubbing dishes like that. I like to do as many things as naturally as possible. So like I said, it's a good chance I may not make use of this as a sauce, but at this point, it's this brown liquid. It's not burnt, right? It's caramelized veggies and pork and seasonings. And that's all usable, all edible, all very, very flavorful. So if you need to make a quick stock or a broth, you know, you can add a little thickener to this, a little sweetener, some other seasonings, and you've got a pretty decent sauce. You might be able to mix it with the sauce that it came with. I don't remember what it is, though. Some type of lemon poppy seed or something like that. But, there's a host of ways to go about it. Also, you have to keep in mind when you're cooking order of operations, especially outside, because I've only got the one pot. So I needed to cook things in an order that made sense. Had I cooked the veggies first, they would have been fine, but I would have probably not had the same caramelization because I did not cook the pork first. And also, the veggies could have left behind some residual liquid, making it so that the pork was even less brown. You get what I'm saying? There's a way to go about it. And maybe someone thinks that I could have done it backwards. That's why we have reverse searing when we didn't before. Get it? So that's it. And here. There's the end product. See? So I could leave it on. I could pour it over for good measure. I didn't bring my utensil with me, so we'll let it be. Alright. I'm going to clean up and get my reception ready to dip. Peace. Keep spirit up. I'll see you in the stream.